All right, everyone, welcome back into another Prize Picks video. It is Taco Tuesday. Let's go and get into the top prop bets here for this Taco Tuesday. And starting it off, PrizePicks hit us with an esports taco for, the first time in a long time. That's with, I guess, NFL not being there. I don't know, kind of strange. They're probably just trying to promote other products that they have. Now that NFL is gone, their cash cow is gone. But that being said, we know where the edges are. College basketball, a little bit of PGA. We're not getting as many just yet. NBA, and we are getting some good ones for NHL. I do want to start out with college basketball. Which prop bets can you go in and pair with the tacos that we're going to go in and get today? Let's start out with college basketball. And so looking at it right now, we are seeing that we are getting some pretty good prop bets for college basketball. And right off the bat, you're going to notice that we are getting a few, really just two good college basketball props to start. Two fantasy score prop bets. One for the over. We got Blackshear for the over fantasy score at 27.5. The average sportsbook line has it set about 29. The projection data likes at about 31. So we can see at 27.5, that is a pretty good edge that we are getting. And I do want to call it at 28, or so for the fantasy score. If you want to round up to 29, the data is still favoring the over there. So that's a seemingly great prop bet on paper. And I do think it's worth calling out. We don't have any fantasy score prop bets for him just yet on Underdog. I do like to be able to compare the two. Maybe that's the line that we get. Maybe it's not. But again, I do like to be able to compare the two just to see where we're against the big edges, because it is a nice kind of way of looking at it. There are many times where we'll get big prop line differences between PrizePicks and Underdog on college basketball props, and that can be a big edge. Another one here is going to be Reed Shepard for under his fantasy score at 33.5. This is another one where the two other data points that we have coming in, the average sportsbook line would have the set at 29. Now, it would be slightly favoring the over at 29 for a fantasy score, but at 33.5, we can see that is a pretty big edge. The projection data also likes the under there, so decent edge there. Here's another one that's decent. Mins for under his fantasy score, another decent edge, not one that we need to go crazy with. And then for what's worth, I do just want to call it some prop line differences that we are currently getting between PrizePicks and Underdog, really just in the PRA. PrizePicks seems to be a little bit higher on these two right here, but this probably points out why Reed Shepard, the under fantasy score, is a good prop bet right now, because you can see PrizePicks is currently overvaluing his PRA compared to the average sportsbook line and compared to Underdog. So that makes sense why the data would also be favoring the under there. Let's go in and flip this around, see if we're getting any opposite differences there. Yeah, again, Ryan Kalkbrenner, it seems like he's one of the players where, wow, we are seeing some pretty big prop line differences here. So maybe some middling opportunities, but Ryan Kalkbrenner is one of those players where, because he gets some blocks and steals, PrizePicks and Underdog don't know how to properly set his total. And I get it, makes sense, but that should never be the case. I mean, these three right here, 2 for prop line difference is pretty big, but really these two, 3 and 4, I do think I'm going to be running the over here for these two on PrizePicks. Maybe not with the Taco Tuesday slip, but I'm also going to be running the under on Underdog. That is just clearly two big edges that we are getting right now between the two sites. Again, it should never be that big. And really, we can see, I mean, this is kind of typically the case between Underdog, is that they're a little bit more aggressive than PrizePicks. So yeah, some seemingly good edges there. And this is just the start of the day. We might get more as the day progresses. Let's go ahead and jump into NBA. And so for the NBA, we are getting a couple of prop bets right now. We're not getting that many games though, just in general. In the data sheet just yet. We have one really good fantasy score prop bet. It's going to be Chet Holmgren for under his fantasy score at 36. Again, slight edge here, but the projection data likes the over. And this is, I think this is a good comparison between college basketball and NBA. We typically are getting pretty big edges on college basketball, and that's why I like to include those, and because they've been cashing at their expected rates, a little bit actually above it. It's crazy the run we've been on. Only 3 times in 2024 has the bet of the day in total for that day. All the bets from the bet of the day in total have been under 50%. I mean, that is just crazy. We're on a really good run, but I think that's partially due to just choosing the correct spots, not just forcing in bets because we want to, like for Super Bowl bets or example like that. From there, we can see it's a tighter day right now as it sits. 6 games total. We should be getting bigger edges, but right now, not as many as I would like. Maybe Jalen Suggs, but again, the projection data doesn't exactly agree with that. Don't feel the need to force that. And just, oh man, Karl-Anthony Towns cost me a 6 for 6, I believe it is, on pick 6. Maybe it was 5 out of 5, but a pretty good amount of money on pick 6 last night with his points. He crushed it. He was the last leg and he crushed it. Oh, so tilting there. From there, any other ones? No, I mean, not really. We don't need to go out of our way to target any of the other ones just yet. And so jumping into NHL prop bets that we are getting, this one is going to be one that I think will be bumped. If it's not, by all means, let's go for it. We're not getting projection data for him just yet, but Michael Matherson for over his shots on goal at 2.5. That one is a good EV bet, 54% chance to hit. Here's another one that I don't exactly like just because the projection data is telling us the opposite, where it's telling us to bet the over at 3.5. So again, though, still a good EV bet. You could run that out if you wanted to. Another NHL bet, Tim for over his shots on goal at 2.5. The projection data likes him to get around 3, so a slight edge there. So, you know, 2 pretty good hockey props as it sits right now. This one's a decent one worth calling out. We saw last night with Timo where his over shots on goal was favored by like 1.4 in terms of the projection data versus the average sportsbook line. That one hit. Here's another one kind of like that where we're still chasing a good bet, 53.3% likelihood for the over to hit, but the projection data likes him to get 3.5. So again, a decent one that we are getting there. Not exactly one we need to go out of our way to target. Let's go and take a peek at the discrepancies, and it is kind of sad. Had to take off the NFL sheet here, and actually not too many discrepancies being pulled in just yet. I do know I need to make some adjustments to the esports tab part of that, but let's go ahead and get into the bet of the day for PrizePicks. So getting into the bet of the day for today, right now we got 5 good prop bets, good EV bets out there for you guys. We got Reed Shepherd for under his fantasy score. That's a good college basketball prop. We also have Blackshear for over his fantasy score. That's 2 of the best prop bets. We see Chet Holmgren has about a 54% chance to get his under fantasy score. And then we got 2 good hockey props right now for the over shots on goal. By all means, I think those are pretty good ones. We'll see if the board updates more throughout the day. Tough to say for sure, because I did do this video a little bit later than I typically would so that you guys can get the best prop bets for your tacos. But that's going to be all for today. Make sure to give a like and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you guys being here. If you guys want access to the tools, head on over to 9to5sports.com. Thank you guys for watching. And as always, let's keep cashing.